Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we are discussing an exquisite white gold 20-piece limited edition from the CPCP Collection Privée Cartier Paris. This is the Pasha de Cartier Tourbillon, a watch with a design by Gerald Genta based on a Cartier legend. It features a Girard-Perregaux 3 Golden Bridge automatic tourbillon caliber, and it was part of the CPCP series, which was issued from 1998 through 2008 as Cartier's answer to the haute de gamme of the industry, the Pateks, the Roger Dubuis, the Vacherons. This was Cartier building the finest watch it knew how for a decade in the late 90s through the late 2000s. Now, this watch was a flagship piece in that series, built between the early 2000s and the mid 2000s. It's white gold and 38 millimeters in diameter, 10.8 millimeters thick, and from Vendôme lug to hinged Vendôme lug, it's 44.8 millimeters across the wrist. Now, the watch represents the Gerald Genta take on a piece of Cartier legend and lore. Now, it may be that Cartier once designed a dust-resistant, water-resistant canteen crown watch for the Pasha of Marrakesh during the 30s or 40s. No one seems to really know if it happened, but I like the legend, and I care to believe it. What I do know, however, is that this design, with the Vendôme lugs, the canteen crown, and the elaborate dial constructions, was conceived by Gerald Genta in 1985. So the modern Pasha is definitely his. Now, the timepiece is fairly easy to wear on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist because it is small, being under 11 millimeters thick, less than 45 millimeters from lug to lug, and blessed with double hinged lugs. You can see that the watch wears well on a man's wrist or a lady's wrist, and it's low enough to fit underneath a dress sleeve. It's got nice weight to it because it is white gold. We'll get a little bit closer here, and you can see what I mean by Vendôme lugs. They are pivoted and hinged. There's the ability of the strap to move around a little bit on the hinge, and then the hinge itself swings. There is an extension of the case on each side, and it pivots inside that vessel. You can also see that each side is held on by screws and bars, which is a much more secure setup and a somewhat more expensive setup than conventional spring bars. The strap, as you can see, is a Cartier factory strap, brand new, and you can see that this is black on top, large rectangular scale alligator leather with a little bit of bolstering and a folded edge with calfskin on the bottom. Now, Cartier invented the first deployant clasp for a wristwatch in 1909, which is to say decades ahead of the trend. This clasp is based on that clasp. There are some improvements. It's made of white gold, just like the watch, and it's a crimping system. So you may have noticed there are no holes on the opposite side of the strap. The way this works is that you insert the strap and then you crimp it in place, and then all of this closes and creates a very clean aesthetic. There are no minder loops. Like you can see on my Zin, we have minder loops to deal with excess strap length. Here we don't need that because all of the excess length tucks underneath the strap. It also extends the life of the strap because it crimps it rather than pins through it. Now, jumping back to the case, we have those Vendôme lugs and a cylindrical case profile. It's vertical, it's sheer, and if you take a close look, you can see that the entire top of the case is monoblock. So the bezel, the lip that abuts the sapphire, the conical portion of the bezel is actually the top of the case, and it's all one piece. Here we have a cabochon of onyx on top of a lovely canteen-style crown, but I cannot overemphasize, it is a canteen-style crown. This one, note, when I pull it out, allows me to set the time, and when I have it flush, allows me to wind the watch. This does not screw off another smaller crown. Conventional Pasha features a truly capped crown where you screw the canteen onto a threaded stalk that surrounds a tiny stem that you use for setting and winding. If you have this watch, please do not attempt to pull off the crown. What you're looking at is the crown. It's bound to the case by a chain link for nostalgic purposes only, and the watch is 30 meters water resistant. Now, the dial side is impressive because, as you can see, it is in its entirety black polished. It's surrounded by a lovely onyx style black to match the cabochon. We have black hands, then we have a little bit of black fill underneath the numerals, and then crossbars that actually mount to the bridges for the barrel and the micro rotor and the tourbillon. Now, I need to emphasize what you're looking at is a tourbillon caliber that is automatic winding with 30 joules, a 48-hour power reserve, a 1-minute tourbillon period, a tourbillon that beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and has a handmade Breguet overcoil. This is a Girard-Perregaux 3 golden bridges movement without the golden bridges. But the quality of the movement, the 48-hour automatic winding movement, is no less than it is in the 3 golden bridges. If you look carefully, you can see that the entire tourbillon carriage has been black polished and its regulator has been fired blue. Turn it over, you may actually get a better view through the case back, and you can see it is the exact same tourbillon cage shape used for the 3 golden bridge. Now, if you look carefully, you can see that Girard-Perregaux spared no expense in finishing this movement, as we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interior angles sharply beveled inwards where they meet. This is not a standard you commonly find on a 2021 Cartier luxury timepieces at any price. So this is a very special period for Cartier. When Cartier rarely put its own movements in the CPCP watches, it would go to Piaget, it would go to Frédéric Piguet, Jaeger-LeCoultre, Girard-Perregaux. It would buy the best movement available and then case it up in an emblematic immortal Cartier design from its classical period. So this watch has a platinum micro rotor that energizes the drivetrain, and then you can see through the reverse side they even beveled the interior of the wheels and satinated their tops while creating lovely and lustrous Côte de Genève across the bridges and black polishing the screws, chamfering their slots and circumference. It's a truly special watch, and if you take a loop to the dial, you can see more details of the Girard-Perregaux 9600 movement doing business as Cartier MC492. Again, a 20-piece limited edition in white gold and a lovely classical Cartier design by Gerald Genta, no less, with a Girard-Perregaux 3 golden bridges tourbillon movement. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.